For decades, the social contract of the Western world was anchored in a simple, reliable image: the desk. If you studied hard, obtained a prestigious degree, and secured a professional role in an office, you were effectively insulated from the volatile winds of economic disruption. This knowledge economy was the fortress of the middle class, a place where cognitive labour, the ability to analyse, write and calculate, was the ultimate currency. But as we navigate 2026, we are witnessing the great abstraction. The fortress is being breached not by cheaper human labour from abroad, but by the relentless, non-linear efficiency of silicon. We are moving from a world where we automated muscles to one where we are automating the very faculty that defined our social status, our minds. This isn't just a technological shift, it is a fundamental realignment of what it means to be valuable in a civilization where intelligence is rapidly becoming a commodity rather than a rare human trait. 1. The evaporation of the knowledge safe harbour. Historically, professional credentials served as an economic insurance policy. A degree in law, accountancy, or journalism was a safe harbour because these roles required a level of nuance, precedent tracking, and cognitive processing that machines couldn't touch. However, generative AI has turned these safe harbours into the front lines of the new economy. In 2026, the knowledge economy is being superseded by the intelligence economy. When a large language model can draft a complex legal contract, perform a comprehensive tax audit, or write a technical manual in seconds, the premium we once paid for human knowledge begins to evaporate. The value is no longer in knowing the information, but in the wisdom to verify and apply it. A much narrower job market than the one that supported the 20th century middle class. 2. The non-linear nature of cognitive automation. Previous industrial revolutions focused on physical labour, replacing the loom with the factory and the horse with the tractor. Those shifts were linear. They replaced specific physical tasks. The current wave is entirely different because it is non-linear. Modern AI doesn't just follow if-then instructions. It recognizes deep patterns and generates new synthetic insights. This cognitive squeeze specifically targets the middle management layer, the very heart of the British middle class, where the primary task is the processing, synthesis, and reporting of information. When the middleman of information is replaced by a direct API, the structural necessity of a massive managerial class begins to disappear. 3. The entry-level void, removing the bottom rungs. As we analysed in the glass floor, social mobility requires a ladder with accessible rungs. But in 2026, those bottom rungs are missing. Data shows that nearly 32% of entry-level graduate roles in the UK have vanished since 2022. Large firms no longer need junior analysts or trainee researchers because AI can handle the grunt work, the data cleaning and basic drafting that used to be the essential training ground for the next generation. We are creating an entry-level void that threatens to turn the middle class into a closed shop, accessible only to those with enough social capital to bypass the automated screening and enter at the senior level. 4. The death of the billable hour and value erosion. For the legal, consulting and financial sectors, the billable hour has been the bedrock of wealth creation. But how do you bill for a task that an AI completed in 15 seconds? This creates a massive pricing paradox. As efficiency skyrockets, the traditional revenue models of the professional middle class are collapsing under the weight of their own productivity. We are seeing a forced shift from time-based value to result-based value. This sounds fair in theory, but in practice, it leads to a race to the bottom on pricing, where only the most elite boutique firms can maintain the margins that once supported millions of comfortable middle-class lifestyles. 5. The AI ceiling and the new class divide. While the glass ceiling historically prevented marginalised groups from rising, the AI ceiling prevents the average professional from even entering the upper middle class. If you aren't an AI architect, someone who possesses the rare skill to design, prompt, and orchestrate these massive systems, you are increasingly relegated to the managed class. This creates a new, stark divide. Those who own and direct the algorithms, and those who are monitored and micromanaged by them. The middle class, which once prided itself on autonomy, is being subjected to the same algorithmic management that was once reserved for warehouse workers and delivery drivers. 6. The silicon over carbon calculation. In the UK, the decision to automate is often driven by more than just tech optimism. It's driven by the cold math of overhead. With rising national insurance contributions, pension requirements, and physical office costs, 51% of UK bosses have admitted they plan to lean into AI rather than human hiring to maintain profitability. It is a simple calculation of silicon versus carbon. A machine doesn't need a mortgage, maternity leave, or a London-weighted salary. This mathematical pressure is hollowing out professional departments from the inside out, replacing teams of 20 with 2 supervisors and an enterprise AI license. 7. Energy constraints as the final arbiter of value. Linking back to our work on energy sovereignty, we must remember that AI is not ethereal. It is deeply physical. The cloud is actually a collection of massive, energy-hungry data centers. In a world of finite resources, the cost of machine intelligence is tied directly to the cost of the grid. We are entering an era where a company's ability to hire humans might actually be limited by the energy required to run the AI that would otherwise replace them. If energy costs spike, the human premium might temporarily return, but only because the machine became too expensive to feed, not because the human became more valuable. 8. The devaluation of the elite academic pedigree. The prestige of the elite university degree is being fundamentally challenged by the practical AI literacy. In 2026, employers care significantly less about where you spent 3 years studying ancient history or abstract theory, and more about your ability to troubleshoot an automated workflow or manage a team of digital agents. The middle class is being forced to trade their academic pedigree for technical orchestration. This is a painful ego death for a class that has used education as its primary badge of status for over a century. 9. Beyond cash, the rise of universal basic infrastructure. As automation reshapes how income is distributed, the discussion is shifting from universal basic income, UBI, to universal basic infrastructure. If the traditional middle-class job is no longer a guaranteed path to wealth, the state must provide the rungs of survival. High-speed data, automated transport, and decentralized energy as a fundamental right of citizenship. As we explored in The Architecture of Value, if money is becoming a digital language, then access to the grammar of that language, the infrastructure, is the only way to prevent total economic marginalisation for the former professional class. 10. The sovereign professional, transitioning to the architect. The only viable path through the cognitive squeeze is to move from being a processor of information to being an architect of value. This means moving into roles that are too human for a machine to replicate: ethical navigation, complex social negotiation, and creative vision. The future middle class will not be defined by their ability to do the work, but by their ability to take responsibility for the work. The architect uses AI as a superpower to solve problems that require a human soul: empathy for a client, the moral courage to make a tough call, and the ability to find meaning in chaos. Conclusion: reclaiming the human premium. The rise of AI is often framed as a story of technology versus humans, but the truth is far more nuanced. It is a story of redefinition. The middle class is not necessarily being destroyed, it is being dematerialized. We are being forced to abandon the safety of the desk and the comfort of the credential to find value in the one thing an algorithm can simulate but never truly possess: human agency. Whether this era becomes a dark age of professional redundancy or a golden age of human flourishing depends entirely on the policy and personal choices we make today. We must demand a social contract that values people over sheer efficiency and ethical outcomes over algorithmic output. Our question for you is this: in a world where a machine can think faster than you, what is the one human premium you possess that no algorithm could ever replicate? Is it your capacity for deep empathy, your moral courage, or your ability to find beauty in the unquantifiable? Let's discuss how we build a future that serves the human spirit, not just the corporate spreadsheet.